A state Senate committee's okayed a bill calling for the death penalty in Oklahoma for convicted felons who rape young children. Under the bill, those previously convicted felons who are convicted of raping a child 6 or younger could get the death sentence or life in prison without parole. Senate author Anthony Sykes of Moore thinks it has a pretty good chance of becoming law.
The Senate has been such a long place where these type bills come to die. It'll be in the Appropriations Committee in the next 2 weeks, and we'll continue the discussion on it.
Under the bill, those convicted of raping a child under 6 could get the death penalty. House passed the measure as well.
Hi, I'm State Senator Anthony Sykes. It is time for this week's Sykes Update. Coming to you a little late. Last week had some scheduling issues where we Senate deadline week. We ran right up to the deadline and adjourned, and so we'll be doing last week's Sykes Update. Very, very busy time on the floor. Got my drug testing bill for those who receive public assistance out.
Mr. Floor Leader. Mr. President, would you please recognize Senator Sykes for Senate Bill 1392? Senator Sykes, you're recognized to explain the provisions of Senate Bill 1392.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Member Senate Bill 1392 establishes a program for random drug testing within the Department of Human Services for those who receive TANF benefits. It is initially started out some of the physical impacts at $3 million. We've got it down to less than $100,000 right now, and I believe if we continue to work on this, we can get it even lower. But it's a program modeled after the Department of Defense where only participants are tested, and you never know when your testing time may come up. It's random, so we're not doing everyone. If they are positive, they'll have to go to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse for a program. If they're compliant and they complete the program, they will continue to enjoy the benefits. If they aren't compliant and don't complete the program, then their rights under the program will be terminated.
Close the roll. Senate Bill 1392 having received 44 ayes, 0 nays. I declare the measure to have passed.
Got my agency rules bill out so we won't have any more fiascos like we've had with the electric cars, which now will mandate that state agencies have to have their administrative rules approved before they can go into effect. I'll be talking about that more as we go through the session. It's over to the House now. Very excited about that.
Senator Sykes, you're recognized to explain the provisions of Senate Bill 1849.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Members, Senate Bill 1849 is an attempt to address a problem which we've all heard about during the interim when it came to the electric cars, but what it does is it changes the way we deal with administrative rules and how they become law. Currently, agencies are free to pass them, including emergency rules, and if we don't do anything, they take full force and effect. We must affirmatively disapprove them. And I've only been here for a little while, but rarely seen that happen. What this does is makes it where we must approve the rules before they take effect. And we've seen the situation with the electric cars. We've seen the situation with the ridiculous rules on the back-to-school sales tax holiday. And just after we adjourned last year, the Department of Ag passed a rule where all kids had to participate in the site registration program. Now, there's a time and place for administrative rules, but when bureaucrats start making substantive policy, then the people lose their voice in government because they're not accountable like we are. So I'll quote a Democrat here, and that is, the buck stops here. I think you've seen too many administrative rules go haywire. I think it's time we do something about it. My main reason for bringing this bill is that when bureaucrats are allowed to make what does ultimately become law, the people lose their voice in the process. And that's ultimately what I want to do with this. I appreciate your favorable consideration.
Close the roll. Senate Bill 1849 having received 36 ayes and 8 nays, I declare the measure to have passed.
Number of bills moving through, also trying to rein in our spending. I severed the link between statewide office holders and our judges, whereas an automatic raise was being given to the statewide office holders. So just a few things that I'm working on here, and glad to have support of my colleagues on to send it over to the House, and looking forward to continuing the debate on.
Senator Sykes, you're recognized to explain the provisions of Senate Bill 1850.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Remember, Senate Bill 1850 expands the back-to-school sales tax holiday to include school supplies, and also tightens up what qualifies under the current provisions.
Senator Gum, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Sykes, isn't it true that tax revenues went up after we adopted the back-to-school sales tax holidays?
That is absolutely correct, Senator Gum.
Follow up.
And isn't it true, Senator Sykes, that the reimbursement provision isn't something like the ad valorem reimbursement? It's part of the monthly check that goes back to cities and counties as part of their sales tax apportionment that they get from the state?
It is different than the ad valorem reimbursement. I think we've done a much better job with this than we have with that.
Close the roll. Senate Bill 1850 having received 32 ayes, 13 nays. Declare the measure to have passed.
So Senate deadline week is now over. We're exchanging bills with the House. This morning I got 2 bills from the House that I'm carrying out of committee, and we're going to continue to work on those. So many Oklahomans enjoying spring break this week. A lot of kids visiting the Capitol. I'm looking forward to meeting with those students as they come up, and also having a lot of our family up here this week.